Screen time salutations to all you internet dwellers out there, and welcome to this episode of Screen Time Continuum. I am Nick, and I am joined, as always, by Keelan. How's it going, man?
It is going absolutely amazing. I cannot complain. I don't really have anything to add about it, but it is great. Absolutely.
Hey,
How about you?
That's a great thing. I'm doing wonderful myself as well. I don't have anything to add, but we do have something to add as a show, and that would be our next guest. He's been a longtime friend of the show and just a friend in general, and we're really excited to have him on this episode. And we got Dijon here. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm glad to be here and help contribute.
Absolutely.
Beyond my comments and beyond my comments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, well, Dijon's been an avid listener since the beginning, and he's expressed that he wanted to jump on and help us out with this endeavor of Screen Time Continuum. So we're really excited to have him on. So thanks, man. Thanks for joining us.
No problem. Thank you guys for letting me come on.
Absolutely. And tonight we're going to have a very special episode. We're going to be talking about the Mortal Kombat movie that just came out. So ahead of time, this is your spoiler warning, everybody. If you are listening to this, please, and you have not heard or seen the movie, please turn back now, go watch the movie, and come back to us so that you can listen to the full conversation without anything being spoiled. Just a warning, you will be spoiled.
I have plenty to say, guys, and I don't usually interject at this time, but I have too much to say for you guys to stay. If you are not if you're the kind of person that can hear something and keep watching something like I can, stick around. If you're not, see you next week.
Absolutely. Yes. No hard feelings. But yes, this is your fair warning. We're going into spoiler territory. We're going to be talking about the movie in its entirety, no holds barred. And let's just jump right into it. Keelan, I know you got a lot to say, so why don't you just start us off?
Oh, man. So I want to start with I enjoyed this movie. No matter how critical I may sound, I enjoyed this movie, and I actually plan on watching it again over the next week. I'm not sure why, but there's something in me that says like you have to watch it twice. So that if there's nothing else to take away from everything I'm gonna say, the one thing to take away is I plan on watching it again within the next 5 days. Aside from that, I feel like I walked into this movie knowing full and wholly what I was to expect, and I feel like a lot of people from the reviews I've heard and other criticisms, I don't think people understood what they were looking at. I don't think people knew what to expect. I think they were expecting what was that 1992 1991 Mortal Kombat, and what we got is 1617 Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, it's definitely I did see the criticisms as well online, and a lot of people were even comparing it to the original Mortal Kombat and saying how much they loved it. I'm like, have you watched that movie anytime recently?
Yeah.
Come on now. What about you, Dijon?
It is what it is. I mean, I didn't see the trailer. I didn't see the trailer for the movie at all, because for me, I recently kind of got back into Mortal Kombat with the games. So it was just one of those things where I was just like, it's a turn your brain off movie. Mm-hmm. So it's like, when I watched it, I was just like, all right, cool. And it's just one of those things where I'm like, I'm not looking for great acting. And I know it's going to be corny, and it's going to be making reference in the most corniest, nerdy way they could, just for fan service.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I definitely felt that too. I lowered my expectations greatly, and it was because I wanted this movie to be good, and I knew that if I held it to some sort of idea in my head, that I wasn't going to enjoy it as much. What I will say is that I do have my criticisms, but I can tell how much the crew that made this movie actually cared. And they wanted to make a good movie. And though I felt it fell short sometimes, I definitely see the effort in what they were trying to do. And I will say the first 7 minutes are a completely different movie than the rest of the movie. And I would have kind of liked to see that first 7 minutes played out longer, but it is what it is, like Dijon said.
I'll tell you this, just to add on what you're saying.
Mm.
So where I work at, I really can't say much because I don't want to get myself in trouble. Where I work at, there's a lot of film shoots that happen. Then with them film shoots, I've come across, if not some of the actors or actors just walking by doing what I do, and a lot of the crew people. And I had a conversation with one guy not too long ago, and I just told this person, I'm like, you know what, dude, this movie may be shitty or good, I don't know, but I will say this, I didn't truly understand how much effort goes into just setting up everything.
Yeah.
Actually, I do remember it was and I could speak about it right now. I think it was I was talking to a crew member on set to it was about New Girl, the last season. And I was talking to one of the crew members, and I was like, it was just for one shot. In that one shot, I was like, damn, they do all this for one shot. I'm like, you know what?
That's what on average, like, it depends. It could one shot, it could be like 3 days, 2 days.
Yeah.
And on camera, what is it? 20 seconds for us?
Right. Yeah.
Pretty
exactly.
Much.
Yeah.
And when I go back to watch that episode, I'm like, pretty much like 30 seconds. I'm like, wow. Okay.
Yeah. You can see all the work that goes into it for sure. And that's where I felt like this movie definitely has heart, because one, it had a really minimal budget. At least it was a very small budget. And two, as I said, those first 7 minutes, I was enthralled by, seeing Hanzo, and then what the heck? I always forget Sub-Zero's name.
Bihan.
Yes, Bihan. And I honestly, the actor who played Hanzo, Scorpion, is named Hiroyuki Sanada, and I think he's just a fantastic actor. I really just, for me, that sold the character even more. I wasn't interested in this like roided up Scorpion that is like super badass. Like, this guy played a family man, an assassin. Like he was very good. I really appreciate it, and he was also in The Wolverine. Apparently, I did not know that. Yeah. He's also in Westworld. Oh, that's right. He plays one of the samurais in Westworld. That's where I remember him from.
I vaguely remember him in the Wolverine movie. It's so weird that you said that. Mm-hmm. But I've never seen Westworld. But it's really interesting you said that, and it's like almost like he popped in my head for a moment.
Right.
I do want to ask, with you mentioning, do you think it was small budget due to studio, or do you think it was COVID related as well, as far as the budget and the things that jumped out to most of us, I'm sure, which I can list, that made it look like a small budget or showed us that it was a small budget? Maybe like 1 or 2 crowd scenes. I think only one, which is the big cage fight scene at the beginning.
Right.
And maybe only 4 different sets through the entire movie.
Right. Yeah, I definitely could see where it's like COVID restricted them from maybe having the ability to travel, because I very clearly noticed that the first 7 minutes was on a sound stage. You can tell when something's on a sound stage as opposed to like actually in a woods or something like that. Yeah. So, I definitely think that COVID definitely had a part in that. But probably also, maybe Warner Brothers didn't want to take a big gamble.
Okay, I can't really argue with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dijon, what do you think?
In that sense, I don't know. I don't think they wanted to take too much of a big gamble, because you kind of gotta. I think it's a tricky thing, and it's kind of hard to do something like that right now, where you got other studios, like, for instance, Marvel. Mm-hmm. They're just knocking it off the ballpark.
That's not
in
fair.
the sense where they are, because it's just one of those things where it sucks, because now this opened up expectations for people that they want this whole elaborate thing, from character development, a big setup, and this great acting and all this other shit, where next to this, they might consider they have to do that, along with now you got this plague of video game movies being so shitty over the years.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things like,
yeah, man.
How do we do that?
Warner Brothers is having such a hard time stepping out of Marvel's shadow. Honestly, it really is. I think that this kind of suffers from it too a little bit.
That's what happens when you don't sell the rights earlier. Now you're attached to something that you really didn't want to be a part of.
Maybe that too. Yeah.
That's what it is. I mean,
yeah.
Ask Sony. They'll tell us plenty about it.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough.
We ain't letting go. Spider-Man.
But no, right, for sure. And so I agree with what you're saying. And I totally understand what you mean, Dijon, because I'm thinking about the studios, right? Like Disney, I think is an unfair comparison because we could talk for days about what Disney owns as far as studio wise, but space wise. So to Nick's comment about how we could tell that certain things were on a soundstage, in Disney's case, it wouldn't only be harder to know, it's less likely they wouldn't be able to find some of these real world locations that they already own or be able to transform a real world location that they already own. So I'm like, Disney, I think it's unfair. For instance, WandaVision, was it filmed in a big abandoned town? No, but I wouldn't put it beyond Disney to have an abandoned town that they could have filmed some of it in. Like they, and for instance, and I'll use WandaVision as an example specifically, when they had the big town hall moment, right, where they all were crowding around Wanda. Yeah, that was just a big ass lot that they turned into a town square. But here's the reality: they have 3 or 4 of those town squares that actually exist at all of their theme parks.
Yeah. Another thing is, if you you pay attention to some of that stuff, I think it's the same set they use for, I think, the second to last season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And they recycle a lot of that shit.
Oh yeah, for sure, as they should. In my opinion, as they should. It's just smart business. And so bringing up all of that, I want to throw out there that because we're still talking about the budget and the cost and what it looks like, because of that, this movie cost $55 million. And so far, keep in mind, it's limited box offices and everything else. So this movie will be blowing shit out of the water. They have made $28.4 million.
Yeah, first already. Day. That's not bad.
Oh, that is nuts.
Yeah.
I might have to cover that. That's nuts. So with all of that, we're talking about how low budget it, and it didn't look low budget in a bad way. I want to make that very clear. It looked low budget in a very tame and responsible way, is what we're saying. But because everything was done, I don't think. Can you guys think of any scenes or background situations where it was like, that could have been done better? Oh wait, maybe I can think of one.
I mean, not necessarily. I was okay with most of the beats of the movie. I mean, I felt that the acting was a little bit stunted, and maybe that was just because the writing was a little bit. It was a little bit wonky. At least it felt a little bit disjointed in some ways. But I also think that they were dealing with a lot of amateur actors too. Like there's no big names except for maybe Raiden. I know Raiden's. Oh, Shang Tsung is
I don't know if he's a big name, but I've seen him in something before.
He's starting to blow up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, his name is Shang Tsung was played by Chin Han. And then Lord Raiden was Tadanobu Asano, which I believe is I don't even know. He was in Thor Ragnarok. Yeah.
Okay.
And the Thor movies. Yeah. So yeah, he's been around for a little bit too.
So maybe Marvel did have a little bit to do with this.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. I really appreciated the movie, and I tried to, as I said, like just kind of let go, like Dijon said, and just watch and have fun. I totally had fun. I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. I think Kano was very necessary comic relief because there wasn't very much comedy in this movie. Which kind of is a little bit, I mean, it's a little bit weird because Kano was a really annoying character, but he was funny as well. So I guess that worked for him. What was your guys' favorite characters?
Go ahead, Dijon. What was your favorite character?
Oh shit. I'm gonna say. I'm gonna say Kano for the simple reason because of that. I'm gonna say Kano, and I'm gonna jump back to the first 7 minutes.
Mm.
I mean, I love that first 7 minutes of the film. Wish I could have got more of it, or just a freaking Scorpion movie.
Yes, we need a Scorpion movie so bad.
So I'm like, thank you for the animated movie, but I'm like,
yeah, I was thinking about that just now.
But I'm gonna say Kano because it was needed. I did enjoy some parts of Jax. I enjoyed Kung Lao, but I felt so disappointed when it came to Liu Kang because I'm like,
me too. Yeah.
There is reason, but yeah, that's.
I hope so. I sincerely hope so, but it's sad what they had to go with certain characters. But I can't wait for the sequel because I think that comedy relief is going to come when Johnny Cage is presented.
Yes,
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, definitely.
I really can't wait for that.
Keelan, who was your favorite character?
So my favorite character was actually Kung Lao, 1000% for this particular movie, because so I want to paint a picture as to why Kung Lao for me. And if I'm being honest, halfway through the movie, I was already thinking about the prequel. I mean, the sequel, because this is the prequel to the original story that we know. And that's a little defined at the end, and we find out how Johnny Cage comes to be and all of that. If maybe you guys caught it. If not, we could run through that. But my favorite character was Kung Lao simply because when you think about everything going on, he's the only one. And I mean, even if you're talking about the Outworld warriors, right? He's the only one that undoubtedly knows what's going on, how to handle everything. And it's really funny to him. It's like a game. He is not breaking a sweat. He's not thinking about it. Even in the moment in which he was dying, that was probably the only time you saw him partially struggle. But at that point, it was because he got caught slipping.
Right. Yeah. I liked Kung Lao a lot. He had the best fatality by far.
Oh, by far. Yeah.
Slicing Melina in half.
No, Natara.
Oh, was that?
That was Natara, yeah.
Natara.
Oh, okay.
I tell you, those fatalities, they made me hungry. Like,
there's a lot of blood.
Like, that was juicy.
Yeah, totally. I think the fatalities were fantastic, except for Scorpion's fatality. And really? I'll tell you why. Because, and my wife mentioned this to me, and I agree with her, Scorpion should have incinerated
I agree
Sub-Zero.
with
that shouldn't have been like him catching on fire and then falling to the floor. It should have been him turning to ash. And yeah, so I think that one was a little bit weak, but it's still, I mean, the dynamic between Sub-Zero and Scorpion was really good. I would have loved to see a scene of Scorpion making his way out of hell. That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be in a movie in the future, though. Who knows?
I expect it to be. So what I think is, or what I expect to happen. So two things. One, the reason that the body of Sub-Zero was not incinerated is because it leaves room for the future plot of it all.
Cyberlingque.
No, even before we get to that. So I believe, if I'm correct, doesn't Bihan become smoke?
Oh, or Noob.
The original Sub-Zero becomes smoke, or Noob Saibot, one of the two.
Noob Saibot. Yeah,
Noob
I believe
Saibot.
that. Yeah.
So he'll come back as Noob Saibot, and then I want to say it's his son or whatever the reincarnation of him is will be the next Sub-Zero.
Right.
And then Scorpion will come back, and at that point, Scorpion is fighting both. But by that point, which this did not make sense to me as a kid, but now it makes sense to me as to why the new Sub-Zero and Johnny Cage had this like rivalry. And it was like, what does Johnny Cage have to do with this? Well, because his name's not Johnny Cage, his name is Cole Young.
Oh, you think that Johnny Cage is Cole Young?
1,000%.
What? No, come on.
Yeah.
No,
The end of the
what?
okay, watch this. At the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like at the
All
end
right,
of the movie,
lay it down. Lay it down.
he go. I felt like you guys missed it. I knew it because I said it like 3 times and nobody's reacted. So
Yeah.
at the end of the movie, he goes back and the old man comes up to him, offering him the next $200 fight. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, nah, I know my days of that are over. I'm going off to Hollywood. And he's like, oh, what are you going to do out there? Or what are you going to become out there? And it's like more like who? And then it pans off to the Johnny Cage poster that's right there on the wall. And it makes me think either he's going to be the next Johnny Cage, which we know in Hollywood, they do that. A new actor or a new person comes in and they're the new version of this James Bond, et cetera, et cetera. We've all seen it, right? Or he's already been to Hollywood or he's already been in his first movie and it's posted in there because it was like a B-roll type of movie. And now he's getting his big break going off as the Johnny Cage character.
See, I just read it that he was going to go find Johnny Cage to be a champion for the Earth Realm.
You think Cole's going to just go seek out Johnny Cage?
Yeah, because he was told by Raiden to go find the champions of Earth.
Oh,
Realm.
did he? Okay, see,
Yeah.
see, I felt like you missed that, and I clearly missed that because I didn't hear him say that.
You gotta watch it again. I'm gonna watch it again tonight.
I know, right? There
Yeah.
might be an Easter egg there. I mean, that would be kind of a cool take on it. Now, what do you guys think about Cole? Because this one, I think this is where a lot of people start to get a little bit critical.
I don't like his Arcana.
I hate his Arcana, dude. What? Why was your Arcana a rubber suit?
Because Black Panther made it look so cool.
It did, yeah. It was like a bootleg Black Panther suit.
But I like how you said it bounced off of him, or for things to bounce off of him because it definitely looked like he had a ball of rubber bands that he just wrapped around his body.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen X-Men Evolution?
Yes.
His whole Arcana looked like he became Spike from X-Men Evolution.
Oh shoot, he did become Spike. Except he didn't throw spikes.
Right. He just made a suit of armor. Yeah.
You're right. Yep.
So you think that's like beta carotene that is on his suit? It's like the thing that your fingernails and hair are made of.
Actually,
it just grows a hair suit.
Essentially, it would be so. Essentially, yeah. Or wouldn't that be silica? Anyway, but essentially, those fine hairs and all the protective dermis. That's exactly what that is, and it's just hardened to a point in which it absorbs because that is a part of his Arcana. Yeah. Which my thing is this. A lot of and also while we're on the Arcanas, I like Sonya Blade's character, but I didn't like that she didn't have to work for it. Like, she just had it because she was already willing.
Yeah.
Glam.
Right. But also at the same time, kind of understandable because she is still Sonya Blade and she was willing with or without the mark.
Mm-hmm.
So but back to the Arcana of the rubber band suit. What I thought was crazy about it was 2 things. One, when he went back home, I had called it. I was like, oh wow, his family has to die or something for him to get his Arcana. That's trash.
Oh, right. Yeah.
My second issue with his Arcana, not just how he gained it and why he had to gain it that way. And of course, we're going to go through some other things. But so you mean to tell me you got so strong you can kill an immortal?
Yeah. Well, and it was weird too, because I'm like, I wish that he was able to use that suit more, because it would seem that would be pretty powerful if you're able to reverse the energy.
Things.
Yeah. And turn the energy back on the person. You should be really kicking ass.
Well, not just that, turn the energy into weapons. Like after he got hit a few times, he was able to summon the Kinjo batons?
Yeah, the batons, which are like, come on, dude, you couldn't have summoned a sword or something.
Well, I mean, I don't get me misunderstood. Based on what we saw with him early in the fighting, his full offensive onslaught, like him just being a fully offensive type of a guy, that is probably the perfect weapon for him, because even in his offensive assault, he has defense with having the long end here, but having a blade at the end, which is where he's attacking. So it's like if you're attacking, if he even tries to just move slightly, you're hitting you're hitting a blade.
Right. Yeah. So here's my question then. Which Goro was better? Because I would
original
definitely say
Goro.
Really? You think original Goro was better? Dang.
Fighting
I was
wise,
going to say the exact opposite.
No, fighting wise, this Goro is better. The original Goro is better because there was apparently no other way to kill him other than letting him fall off of a
throwing
cliff.
him off a cliff. Right.
Whereas this Goro apparently has the soft underbelly of a bear or something. I don't. Bears have soft underbellies, for those who don't know.
I miss the old Goro. I mean, for me, that was comic relief, especially
the claymation.
This one. I think a lot of the deaths, they just kind of like they did what they had to do to kind of like press on whoever's going to take that mantle. Like we'll see whatever her name is. What's her name? Sheba.
Yeah.
Who was that?
Which one? Just like a female version of Goro.
Yes. Shiva.
Oh yeah, that's Shiva. Yeah.
So we'll get to see her.
Mm-hmm.
I think for the Cole, going back to the Cole, I think we might see him die in the next one. They might kill him off just to have Johnny Cage take that spot and just totally bring back Scorpion. Because I just felt like for a main character, I don't know, he could have been better. He could have been fleshed out way better, or they could have gave it to Liu Kang, but it is what it is. Yeah. I share that sentiment. I definitely see that. Like Cole could have even not been a part of the movie, and I probably would have been okay with that. To be honest, I mean,
yeah. The only thing Cole was needed for was to spill his blood on the Hanzo spear.
Right.
For Scorpion to reincarnate.
Yeah.
I think
if that was the case, he could have died.
Yeah.
Well, if that was the case, then Raiden could have had his daughter do that.
Oh my God! Can we talk about Raiden?
Raiden was so useless.
Like, first, okay, look. If they're gonna continue with these Mortal Kombat movies, they have to release the trope of the Elder Gods cannot interfere. You're all interfering. That's what you're doing.
That's the comedy of Mortal Kombat. Yeah. I love that because it's like, okay, if we lose this one Mortal Kombat, that means the Underrealm or Other Realm or whatever can just come and take over Earth Realm. I was like, says who though? Says who?
And in two different storylines, Outworld actually wins.
Yeah.
Can we just get to that part? It's way more interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, I would love to see more of Outworld. It's just one of those lazy, that moment of lazy writing where it's just like, yo, you could have stopped all this from happening by just saying what you had to say.
I was so sad. Yeah.
Kill a couple people, let it just happen. Kill out whatever.
Yeah. There was definitely a lot that was kind of like, okay. And the writing, again, the acting was just kind of like so. I am a little bit upset that Reptile had to be the first thing to get killed. I enjoy Reptile as a character, but apparently he had to have his heart ripped out by somebody who didn't even have powers. How'd that happen? He had to get the fatality in. Yeah.
Well, by that point, Kano actually already had the mark. So powers, no, but increase to his ferociousness, I'm sure.
Yeah. I like the Reptile character though. That was a pretty cool, rendition. Better than the original for sure.
I thought that was cool, but I disliked how every Shang Tsung portal had a thick black smoke, as if smoke or
Noob Saibot was coming.
About to appear. Yeah, that was.
I felt the exact same way every time that portal came up. I'm like, oh, is that smoke? Is that Noob Saibot? Oh no,
right?
You know?
That's what I thought initially. I was like, oh, Noob Sub-Zero.
And I'm sorry, but Shang Tsung was as intimidating as a puppy. I'm so like,
wasn't his hair just perfect?
It was very perfect, and he had like the Emperor's sort of like pin in it and stuff. Yeah, he was
right.
He was very prim and proper for a sorcerer.
It was like the Matrix fights where Neo glasses would never come off.
Right. Yeah,
shades are never coming off.
And Morpheus's glasses just held on by a stern look. Man. It's like you just got to pop those in and go, like Popeye. Yeah.
Now, all right. So the way they blend the storyline and they get it all going. So the very beginning of it is, of course, we saw what happened with Hanzo and his wife and his kid dies. Then the daughter, which I thought that was trash. How Raiden just shows up. Like if you could have done that, you could have intervened.
Yep.
Then you take the daughter and we have to wait. How we don't even know how far removed the daughter is from Cole.
Oh, 400 years. It's in 1660 something.
We don't actually know what year Cole and them are in. They never tell us.
That's true.
They never tell us. And considering that this is a prequel to what we already know as far as Johnny Cage and them coming in, how do we know they're not saying that that's the 80s?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, that threw me a little bit. Like they at some point they could have at least been like, oh, you know, come on, Dad, it's this year. The daughter didn't even have a cell phone.
Yeah, that's true.
You have a teenager who's not walking around with a cell phone glued to her. How?
Well, at least you didn't find Starbucks cup in a shot.
Yeah, that's right. Fair enough.
I know exactly what you were talking about.
That's too soon for Keelan. It's too soon.
What's funny about that is, as much of a mess up as that was, that's a mess up that would have been a little more time era appropriate to help us pinpoint something in this one.
Yeah, that's true. And we could
at least tell
so what year it was. Yeah. Maybe there was like a blockbuster VHS laying around somewhere.
And keeping in mind that a good portion of the movie takes place in an ancient thousand plus year old ruin.
Yeah, I didn't necessarily like that either. I thought like, I don't know. I kind of
temple.
No, I just kind of wanted the same sort of tournament style thing that we got in the first one, where you had to go to like some mysterious island and everybody was there for a fight, you know, like
right.
That's kind of the way I thought that it was going to go. I mean, it's fine that they didn't do it that way, but the fight scenes just didn't feel as important without them being staggered, because basically the last fight scene was everybody fighting at once.
Right.
And yeah, so it was a little bit
for sure.
Yeah, a little bit rushed.
I feel like a season finale of Cobra Kai.
Yeah, exactly. When everybody's in the school fighting each other. I love that show. I love that show. It's so ridiculous how, like, you know, a world where you know little kids are just beating the hell out of each other in school.
It's funny because I've never watched it, but I did see one of the fighting scenes on YouTube, and I thought to myself immediately, no.
It's actually really good, man. I don't know, if you like the Karate Kid, then you would like it. So you have to kind of be into that. Yeah. So you probably wouldn't like it.
It's funny because when people find that out, they're like, "Wait, you didn't like the Karate Kid?" I'm like, I have my thoughts.
That's
it wasn't,
fair.
and I'll be clear, cinematically, it wasn't a bad movie. I guess I just have a different viewpoint than the people who wrote the movie. And I'll leave it at that.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Look at people weird when they say they don't like House Party.
What do you? Who doesn't? How do you not like? We're reviewing House Party in a month, guys. Now we're
fair enough.
Are you kidding me?
Fair enough. You got it. You know what? I probably have, but it's been a very long time. So I will say I haven't, because I couldn't tell you a scene from that movie. So
man, they're doing a remake. They're casting people for the remake of it.
Well, then I got to watch the original first.
This face.
Right.
Listen, I just want to say this, and then we can get off a House Party. My favorite part is, "Hey, yo, Bilal, switch. Hey, Bilal, switch, man. You doing that shit on purpose?" Because the DJ keeps yelling switch, so guys keep switching girls. And when his homeboy gets stuck with the ugly girl and his other homeboy gets stuck with the cute girl, he stopped yelling switch.
You gotta see it, and it's playing. The DJ is played by Martin Lawrence.
Oh, right. Nice. Yeah. All right. Yeah, for sure. I'll definitely watch that then. Okay. So is there, do we have anything else that we want to mention here? Man. I think there's more to talk about. I'm just having a really hard time. What's that?
They treated Cabal like shit. Like
they kind of did.
Boston guy.
Yeah.
Except his powers were they probably allowed him to use his powers more than anyone else on the entire movie.
I think that's fair. Yeah.
Between him and Liu Kang.
Right.
Yeah, right. Because Liu Kang was OP from the beginning, and they still didn't do him well. But they didn't. So, but if we go back to the beginning, I want to go to the Jax and Sub-Zero fight.
Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah,
the fight was good, and even the way it all played out, I really enjoyed that, and it set a precedent for the way the fights and things were gonna go. And they didn't really go that way; they weren't as technical as that particular scene was.
Mm-hmm.
But I enjoy that, like, after that first 7 minutes that we were already introduced to, and now I fully understand why they gave us that first 7 minutes rather than giving us like 3-minute trailers like everybody else. I understand why they gave us that 7 minutes, because they understood it really had no place at
Fair.
all. So once we meet Cole, we get introduced to Cole, and immediately we jump into the whole, oh, he's the chosen one. Jax is found, well, he's one of the chosen. I liked how he wasn't the chosen one, but it's like, no. There's a bunch of us, buddies. You're not special.
Yeah.
We got to all get this done.
Right.
But so when we get into Jax having this, or really anyone who wasn't superpowered, having these hand-to-hand combat moments with Sub-Zero, you had Sonya having the moment with Kano, or even having any moment with anyone for that matter, when she killed Kano. It's like, hold on, wait. If their Arcana pushes them to this next level, how do these people even stand a chance? So
yeah, right.
When Jax gets to talking about, I've done 6 tours, motherfucker. Okay, that's dope, Jax. We like that you've done multiple tours, and you can defend yourself, and you have these big hulking arms, and
yeah, but this guy shoots ice out of his hands,
and he's like thousands of years old,
right? Yeah,
or at least hundreds of years old. Hundreds of years old.
And no disrespect to any service people out there, but like I don't know if doing 6 tours is going to help you fight ice monster or an ice demon.
Like, come on.
Yeah.
If you even take offense to us saying that, I'm sorry.
Right. How do you? I thought it was really interesting that the Arcana could create like bionics with Jax.
I thought that was amazing.
I mean, I didn't mind it. I thought it was a cool scene for sure, but I thought it was very interesting because I'm like, okay, so did the Arcana like build off of the already metal arms? I would assume that that's what it was doing, right? It was like trying to improve the metal arms, basically,
right?
Which it did. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting that like the cybernetic effect Jax got like the cybernetic effect when everybody else seemed to have like organic Arcanas.
I think, right. I think it's a necessity thing, right? So I think of Cole. Cole doesn't defend. He simply doesn't defend himself. Like we learned that in the first 10 minutes of the movie, right?
Oh, he just eats punches.
He just eats them. So his Arcana tapped into what he needs to win a fight. What he needs is a way to redirect that punishment he's taking because he doesn't have any tools to block it. We look at Liu Kang. Liu Kang was docile, very docile. He needed that fire, that inner dragon to come out of him. Clearly, Kung Lao was a hothead. He needed that tactical precision and that overall control over something that wasn't him.
And a metal hat. Yeah.
And the metal hat kind of comes in. I don't really know where the metal hat part came in, but essentially that's what it was. And if you ask me, that's more so, we didn't realize Kung Lao was a telekinetic.
Yeah, he has to be just like a teleporter, right?
Essentially, he does teleport in the games.
Yeah, he does, definitely. I'm wondering how much power Kung Lao has. Yeah, but hold on real quick. We do have a question here that I felt was good for us to address. If I bring it up here, Crystal Chavez says, "Haven't watched it, but I want to know if it's worth it." Do you guys want to answer that for her?
I'll start first. Hey, Crystal, and yes, It is worth watching it. I plan on watching it a second time within the next 5 days, and I'll probably say that at least 2 more times through this episode.
Yeah. Dejan, what do you think?
I think it is. Yeah. With everything that's going on, it's a good turn your brain off. It
Certainly.
will make you hungry.
Yeah, all the fatalities.
Yeah, it's very juicy.
It is juicy. Yes, a lot of juices going on. But I would say yes. If you're into just having a fun Saturday nights and just kind of having a fun nostalgic trip, that would be a lot of fun for you. Yeah, I would say that it's worth the watch for sure. And I look forward to seeing kind of what they do next because there's some really interesting, fun elements to it. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah. And let's pray they have a Snyder cut later.
Yeah.
Oh, please don't.
There we go.
No, yeah. I pray they never have a Snyder cut. I pray they never have a Snyder cut. Jesus
ever again.
Christ.
Just no more Snyder cuts ever.
I'd rather a Mortal Kombat silent film than a Snyder cut.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It would
I'd
work,
rather have
too.
a vignette
It would
where it's
work.
like 10 minutes.
So just to wrap up what I was saying about the Arcanas, yeah, so everyone had, if you ask me, it wasn't so much of it being organic, but it was a necessity thing.
Mhm.
Sonya Blade, close combat fighter, she needed a projectile weapon, something that can give her some distance and some range. Also,
Interesting.
smaller person, very petite, so
Mhm.
not as much power, hence the ability behind the power when she charged and blew Melina's entire torso off.
Mhm.
Right,
soon.
but
Too
notice
soon.
notice
I love Melina.
yeah, Melina's, she's great. But notice the bone was left, so that energy only incinerated the meat. So that told me that it wasn't so much of a sound wave, it's more of a like a literal energy wave, like a heat beam, because it
Mhm.
melted everything. It was just an interesting thing. So when you said that, I realized I did think into that about the Jax thing, and it was the Arcanas were able to tap into whatever they needed the most, the deepest thing they need that would help them succeed and win a fight, which
Yeah.
made me realize that the Arcanas are specific towards fighting. So that's interesting.
Mm. Yeah. Well, I definitely agree with you. I think your analysis is great. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
probably right on.
Totally agree with you. I think honestly this was needed for this movie.
Mhm.
Because it was just one of those things where going back to what is it, the 1996 one, where a lot of that stuff really wasn't explained.
Right.
And I think this was like, because I heard people basically talk shit about it, like, oh my god,
Mhm.
they brought in this X-Men fucking not this X-Men, this Power Rangers type S feel to it.
Oh,
I'm like, well, honestly, you needed something to kind of introduce how
Yeah.
these people can do these things. So
Right.
I think it worked well.
Yeah, you have to
It's kind
set
of
up.
cool. I loved it.
Yeah, you have to set up the world, right? And sometimes that takes a suspending your disbelief a little bit to adjust into the world that you're watching. Yeah, so I don't really have any problems with that sort of out there-ness at all. I think that it's appropriate for a film based on a brutal Nintendo game.
It brings the kid out of us again, so that's fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
definitely. Now I have another question in regards to the movie in general, just the origin, what we know about it, all of that, right?
Mhm.
Can we stop calling it Mortal Kombat and start calling it the Kumite?
The Kumite, yeah, that would be more accurate. Yeah, exactly.
Unless I'm tripping, I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. They just
certainly the same thing. Yeah, exactly.
or maybe we won't say that anymore because maybe there's a reason we don't say it, and I'll stick to Mortal Kombat. I apologize to
Fair
anyone
enough.
who knows something I don't. Please let us know,
Yeah.
not in the comments, but in our emails or something.
Yeah, who knows what they were doing?
Educate me, please, because I don't want
to. Right.
to.
Let's not step on any toes. That's for sure.
I'll let you guys know if I get a dragon tattoo anytime soon.
Just make sure you don't get any characters to it because you just can't be sure about what you're gonna get. So
For sure.
Yeah. So anything else you got, Keelan, you wanted to bring up?
Oh man, I'm really looking at my notes. Like we've covered a good portion. Cole's family. Do you guys think his daughter? I know his wife won't, but do you guys think his daughter has anything to do with the storyline?
I swear I thought that was his sister when she came out, or when the movie started, because they look so young. Yeah, at the beginning I thought it was his little sister and that who was his mom. And then like when they meet after the fight, he kisses her. I'm like, whoa, bro, what are you doing? That's your mom.
I feel
yeah, that was confusing. Like, dude, that's your daughter? Like the chemistry was just kind of bad.
It was, yeah.
I
did not get I did not get the father vibe from Cole, that's for sure.
That is hilarious. No, I definitely thought that was his sister. When I found out that was his daughter, I was weirded out, but I never got the mom vibe from the other chick. I actually got the friend vibe. I didn't get the love interest vibe either, which says a lot about on-screen chemistry, but I will not comment on that.
Right. Yeah, well that's fair. I mean, and it's weird is like I didn't necessarily get any of that sort of romantic vibe from him either. It definitely was a little bit like jilted in that respect because
It was an arranged marriage.
it was an arranged
Just on
marriage.
camera.
Yeah.
Hey, you never know.
Just on camera marriage. Yeah.
I mean, if you ask me, there was a much more sexual tension specifically between Sonya and Kano, which I
True.
like that their storyline has always been written that way, where it's like I almost feel like if you really consider, Kano hates Sonya because he met a woman who can compete, and she hates Kano because he's a bad guy, and that's it. Like everything he is possibly capable of will be perfect for the kind of person she likes to be around. Essentially, he's a murderous Jax, if we're being real.
Well, Kano is Sonya's Joker.
For sure.
Really. In at least especially in the Mortal Kombat sort of lore, he just lives to torment her basically.
And it's so great to watch.
Yes, it is. He did a really good job. I enjoy that character. I'm kind of sad that he's dead, but I assume that he'll probably be brought back because this is Mortal Kombat. So, and he did so well in this movie. I guarantee you they'll resurrect him somehow, and he'll get the metal. Everything. He'll get the metal faceplate.
No, exactly. That's exactly what's going to happen. Kano's not dead. So think about it. Kano only got stabbed in the eye. Right. So think about it the same way you think of Cabal. Kano was given the mark because he killed Cabal, who was his partner. Right. Cabal is still alive because he was given or his soul went to Shang Tsung. He's a great fighter. He pulled him from the ranks like he does any other great fighter. That's all that's going to happen to Kano. He's gonna. I mean, okay. So I said Kano's not dead. I said that incorrectly. Kano is dead, but his soul's just going to get pulled. Shang Tsung is already aware of him and knows that he's already on his side, and he died fighting for Shang Tsung, so he's just going to pull him again. And at that point, that's when he gets his cybernetic faceplate, and that's going to be a gift from the Sorcerer Supreme. Or do we call him Sorcerer Supreme? No, we just call him the Sorcerer, right?
Or Quan Chi or something.
Quan Chi would be the Sorcerer Supreme. You're right.
Yes, yeah. Quan Chi is probably going to be in the next one. I would assume.
I would assume.
So yeah, any you guys have any predictions, anything on your wish list for the sequel if there is to be one?
I have a few questions for you guys, and then I have but if you guys have that first, go for it.
No, go for it. Ask away, man.
So first, of course, Nick, I have to ask, anything with this much blood and gore, it is almost impossible for me not to ask before we get to predictions. What was your favorite kill?
Oh yeah, well, definitely. And to be honest, there could have been more blood. There could have been more gore for me. I mean, I thought that was actually kind of tame. I was expecting it to just be off the walls crazy, but that's why I really enjoyed Kung Lao's fatality. I think that was probably the best killing scene because just going right through that hat, and they didn't even pull the camera away. They let you see her get cut in half by the hat. It was just so brutal.
Surfboarded her straight into it.
Yeah. John, what about you?
I gotta agree. It was going wow. I was just like, damn, he sliced it like you cutting pizza slices.
Right.
Damn. Next to Kano.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, okay.
The comments after that, like flawless victory.
Flawless victory. Oh man.
Right.
That was the best.
Yeah, I guess we have a flawless decision that the Kung Lao fatality was by far the absolute best.
Certainly.
And so sad he had to leave.
So sad, but it is necessary. So that is the next thing. So do you guys really not remember how Liu Kang, this is a real question. Do you guys not remember how Liu Kang becomes Liu Kang?
Yeah, well, Kung Lao comes back at some point, right?
Kung Lao comes back as a vision to him, not as actual Kung Lao. He's like his muse. If Kung Lao doesn't die, Liu Kang doesn't become the Liu Kang that he becomes. That's in every storyline. Without Kung Lao dying, Liu Kang does not become the guy who kills Shang Tsung, the guy who potentially kills Quan Chi and is the most deadliest fighter in all of the realms. He doesn't become him because Kung Lao is him.
Right. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah. So he had to die.
Yeah, I mean, even in Mortal Kombat 11, Kung Lao's back, so they can always bring characters back. It's no big deal. Like all the characters are just back. Yeah. And that's kind of like, I think I like that sort of flexibility and the opportunity to kind of have a little bit of more leeway when it comes to bringing characters back, because you can always just base it on like, look, man, even in the stories of the video games, the characters always come back at some point. Right. Always. Whether it's, they're, risen from the dead by Quan Chi, or they're, reanimated by the elder gods, like they always come back at some point.
Yeah.
So.
Which is how Kung Lao does come back. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So that should be a lot of fun. What do you have what was your other question?
Well, my absolute last one, and this is not necessarily about kills, but just about how it happened. Favorite matchup, like on screen when these two started fighting, what was like the moment that was like, oh yeah, I've been waiting for this. And to be fair, because storyline wise we were dragged into it, it cannot be Sonya and Kano.
No, it wasn't going to be that for me anyways, to be honest.
just because we were dragged into that. And at first I felt that way, and I was like, no, I was forced into that. Like they didn't.
I will tell you,
there was no reason for him to come after her at that point. But go ahead.
Yeah, I will tell you, I think it's got to be, at least for me, Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and it's only because of one scene, and it's only because of this scene, and that's so stupid of me to say this, but when Sub-Zero slices Scorpion and then freezes his blood and uses it as a knife to stab him, I was like, all right, that's it. That's like the dopest move I've ever seen. So like I have to give it up for that. Like,
okay.
The rest of the fight scene wasn't as spectacular, but that scene was awesome.
Okay. How about you, Dijon?
My anticipation was the Scorpion and Sub-Zero because it's so iconic, and it's like, this is what I want happening. Then if it wasn't that, because I did enjoy Cabal, I was like, I don't care who he fights.
Right.
This fucking I forget this dude name. He was in The Mandalorian. He was the comedian. I forget his name.
Bill Burr.
I was like, dude, it was like, is Bill Burr behind that fucking mask?
It totally sounded like him, right? Yeah.
Like, what's going on with this? But I just like his shit talking.
Yeah.
That whole cinematic. I mean, like that whole thing with the fucking dragon. Liu Kang, I was like,
that's
that's
dope.
what I wanted to see.
Yeah, that was pretty dope. And is Cabal's power like super speed? Is that his thing? Okay, yeah.
It's almost like teleportation, but it's like he slides.
Yeah, I mean, I know I play him. He's an absolute beast in the game. So,
And to comment on the Bill Burr thing, it's possible because you think of the Cabal character, that's pretty much just a voiceover.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be just a stuntman in a suit. Yeah, for sure. And
so for me, this is interesting that because we haven't talked about this at all through this entire episode. Mine wasn't even a physical fight. My favorite fight. It was at the dinner table when Kung Lao and Liu Kang kind of started ganging up on Kano. That mental warfare moment, because I seen it. It was like, I can't remember but it was the way that Kung Lao had that look at, when he started asking him for the egg, or when he looked at Liu Kang, and Liu Kang kind of just like,
well, he called him Kung Pao.
Yeah, he called him Kung Pao. Yeah. And it was like, I think the look of Liu Kang's face though told me like, yo, he's probably not the one you want to shoot the shit with. Like he has, he gonna do the same thing you doing to you, but he's better at this than you.
Right.
And then he kind of tried to tell him like, you should be kissing this man's boots, but it's like, you're just antagonizing him more now, but now it's because you understand what Kung Lao is doing.
Yep.
And it got to the point in which it unlocked his arcana. And even he didn't realize that's what they were doing. It's like, no, dude, you run off of anger.
Yeah, I love that too, when he finally realizes that's what they were doing, and he's like, "Oh, you fucking guys, you got me. You guys got me."
And so that's why that was my favorite, and mostly because when I realized that he recognized it. So once I saw that he recognized what was going on, it was like, oh, okay, now he realizes they were training him still, because it's a mental fortitude thing still.
Right.
So for me, that was my favorite.
I like battle. That. Yeah, I think that scene was probably the best as far as screen chemistry went. As far as the characters, kind of like that scene where they're at the dinner table, that felt the most natural to me, where it was like the characters were actually kind of like clicking with each other and responding to each other the way that it feels like they should.
Right.
Yeah, I would have liked a few more moments like that, to be honest.
Right. You just made me have a thought.
Oh,
we know on average how long it takes to shoot a movie. This is about a 2-hour movie almost. Thinking about that, what if that was like one of the very first scenes they shot? And they shot that because they were trying to, you know, break the ice, get that comfort going for everybody. And the rest of the movie would have fell into that chemistry. But then COVID hit.
Right. Yeah. Or that was the last scene that they shot.
Or that was the last scene as everything, like they shot that one in the last 7-8 months. Who knows?
Right. And that was when, you know, the characters are, you know, the actors are finally getting to know each other, and it felt a little bit more natural. But yeah, okay. Do you guys have any, as I was going to say, do you have any predictions or wish list items for the sequel?
I'll go second. Go ahead, Dijon.
More Liu Kang. I can't wait for Johnny Cage. I want them to definitely explore the clans between Scorpion's clan, because basically we don't know whatever happened to her daughter.
Right.
The clan has been branched out because basically the bloodline is still out there. Then I know there's a couple other people for Sub-Zero side. I noticed, I don't know what's her name. I think it's Frost.
Yeah, Frost. Yeah. The Cyberlingque.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they got some other people too, like Cyrax, that's supposed to be part of that clan too. Like, I want to see that. So hopefully they dive a little bit more into that. Get to see some ass kicking. And hope they do that whole romance with Katana and Liu Kang.
Oh yeah.
As well. Yeah. Kind of hope that. Well, hopefully
actually forgot about that.
Bad, or hopefully she might skedaddle to being good, you know, when they killed Melina.
Right.
So that'd be dope.
Nice. Keelan, what about you, man?
That just actually blew my mind, because I didn't realize that we didn't get Katana and Melina's already dead. So that is going to play quite interestingly.
And we might get Jade too as well. I forgot about her.
Yeah, definitely. I think we probably
will. Yeah. I was sleeping. Let's think. Well, Sindel's gonna have to come because her daughter's dead. I'm sorry. I don't know why that made me giggle, and that's why I tried not to say it. But for some reason, it made me giggle. Like, she gonna be screaming now. But if you guys know what her ability is, you understand. She's a banshee. So things that I'm looking forward to. What was the terminology you used? I want to make sure I address it properly.
Either predictions or wish list items. So predictions, something that you'd like to see. Yeah.
So predictions. So first, predictions is, man, I first want to see Raiden fight. I expect to see an actual Raiden fight. Of course, it won't be a Seishin fight. Ooh. I expect to actually finally get the 10th tournament. I think that's what's going to happen in the sequel. We're going to discover that all of the fighting that happened in this didn't count, qualify as the tournament because you're supposed to be on the island.
I like that.
Predictions still. We're gonna predictions. Cole's gonna die.
Yeah.
But within that, he may be what is it? Cyrax and what's the other cyborg?
Oh yeah. Cyrax.
Smoke.
Is it Smoke?
No, there's another one. There's Cyrax and then the red one.
Yeah, there's a red one and a yellow one. I think if Cole dies, he is going to be the other cyborg. So, you have the Lin Kuei and then the Shiryu cyborg.
Yeah, I think you got Rain too as well.
Rain, yeah.
But Rain is an actual ninja. He's not is he?
I think he's a ninja.
He's a cyborg?
Yeah.
Because we still got Rain, Ermac, Smoke. We have the physical, because we didn't even see Reptile become an actual person. We just saw him as a reptile, which was kind of garbage. But whatever. And so things that I would like to see. So those are just my predictions, but things I would like to see. I would like to see more technical fighting. I would like to see, if I'm being totally honest, I would like to see some real, how do I really phrase that? Can we get back to the moves? Like, I feel like we got over inundated with the special moves, but like, no, let's get to the actual moves. Like, okay, we saw the bicycle kick for a split second, but we didn't see any sliding kicks, any shadow kicks. We saw Kung Lao throwing and spinning the hat around, but we never saw his teleporting kicks or anything like that.
Right.
Again, we didn't see Raiden fight at all. We didn't see Shang Tsung fight at all. We got cheated out of the whole "I'm going to steal your soul" moment. So just a lot more technicality out of that. Like drag out some of that. I would have accepted a 3-hour movie if it meant we got 45 more minutes of just the niche parts of fighting.
Yeah, I agree for sure.
And that's because it's Mortal Kombat. If this were Street Fighter, I probably wouldn't feel the same way.
Right. Let's see. Do you have any other ones?
And that's really the most for me. And I would also like to see somebody beat the dog hell out of Liu Kang, because that was too easy for him. Mostly because he's not even the Liu Kang he's not the Liu Kang yet. He's Liu Kang. He's not even the Liu Kang. So why was he so easy?
He's not Fire God Liu Kang yet.
For sure, not Fire God Liu Kang. He can't turn into a dragon. He could just manifest one.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I definitely have I don't know. I mean, I definitely think we're gonna see Shao Kahn. I think that's gonna be a part of the next
that's his name.
The next film. Yeah. I think we're going to see, my wish list is along the lines of better technical fighters as well. Please get Donnie Yen to play Kenshi. Please.
Oh, Kenshi would be an amazing character.
I mean, like, he already did the blind guy in Rogue One, but Donnie Yen, like, he's got great fighting skills. I would love to see him play like Kenshi or something like that. That would be super cool. Because I do agree, I would like to see more technicality with the fighting. I could tell which people were natural fighters and which ones weren't. And I would like to see more martial artists in this movie. I think
that's all. Yeah. Now, and to be clear, just in case anybody, decides they want to, call us out or anything, I'm not stepping in the ring with you.
Oh, no,
just tell me what I would like to see.
Right. Yeah. I'm no, Jet Li here. Definitely not. So I'm not judging, but I also could tell that a lot of those people weren't comfortable with fighting. So, you can tell a martial artist from somebody who's just learning choreography. So
for sure.
Yeah.
Who's tearing into green screen paper.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get to our final review, our final verdict. This is where we go 1 out of 10, and I guess we'll just do on a 30-point scale at this point, and we'll see where we get to. But yeah, Dijon, do you want to start off with your final review?
Yeah, I mean, I give it a 7.5.
Respectable.
That is highly respectable.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun. It's fan service. It's what it should be. I mean, it could be better. There's some edges they can smooth out, but hey, that's what the sequel is going to be for, hopefully. So,
definitely.
I can't complain.
Yeah. Nice. Keelan, what about you, man?
It's funny. I'm somewhere along the same line, not at 7.5, but I am at a 7. And I totally agree that with this being a prequel, there's a lot more to look forward to. And I think that they already have the budget with this being a $55 million movie. I feel like for the, altogether, they probably got about 200 off top. So they probably have 2 more movies that they already know for a fact they can budget.
Yeah.
And that's what this movie felt like. Like they knew that, like they're aware they have some time. So within that, I'm going to stick with a solid 7 because it had everything that a prequel needs. If I'm speaking from prequel side, shoot, if we were just saying, hey, what do you think of the prequel, which I might do by the time we get to the next couple of movies, probably look back and be like, it's a 10 based on a prequel, but as a standalone, it's a 7.
Yeah. I think that's totally fine. I think that should be okay. I'm gonna say 7 as well. I was very entertained. I thought that the people that made the movie, you could tell that they cared about it, and the writing was a little bit tough. So I think maybe getting a few writers in there with more experience, then that would make it a lot better. But
Or just one comedy writer and one comic book writer,
yes,
maybe.
yes, more comedy, because really that Kano saved the tone of the movie a lot of times. And so definitely more comedy, which we'll get with Johnny Cage for sure. So yeah, a 7 for sure. I think that's respectable. I think that's a decent score, and I think there's room to improve, but it's definitely recognizing that they did a good job starting us off on this. Now, could you guys imagine if the Mortal Kombat universe ends up being more lucrative for Warner Brothers than the DC universe?
You know what's funny? I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, not at all.
Right.
The only way, okay, so just because we're doing it, DC can save themselves. They can. They absolutely can. Definitely. They have to do one thing and one thing only.
What is that?
Let go.
Let go. Yeah. Stop trying so hard.
Stop trying so hard. Enjoy the material.
Yes.
Hire people who enjoy the material and allow it to flourish. The first few Marvel movies weren't good because the money they pumped into them is because it was. Go and listen to all the interviews from people who shot those movies. Yeah. They grew up loving those characters.
Right. Yeah.
It's that simple.
Yeah. Just give us a solid movie. Like, going back to DC, honestly, I don't too much care for a lot of them, but I tell people, and people look at me crazy when I tell people, yo, my 2 favorite DC movies out of whatever they're doing is Shazam.
That was great.
And Birds of Prey.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Birds of Prey was good, but I did not see Shazam.
Shazam, I thought was really good. It was much needed. It was so much more lighthearted and goofy. That was like, man, after Justice League and Batman v Superman, you really needed Shazam for sure. Yeah, there's definitely redemption.
That's hilarious. Yeah,
I'll check it out.
It's their golden age for one movie.
Oh, wow. Okay, hey. On that note, I will definitely check it out. I have a couple of opinions about Shazam, but not necessarily in a bad way. I'll say that.
Well, maybe we can review that in the future, and we can talk all about that. But yeah, do you guys got anything else before we wrap this one up? You wanted to mention anything?
I think that is all for me on the Mortal Kombat front. I hope this spurs not necessarily a new game, but maybe new content for the current game. And if I'm being totally honest, just bear with me here. There is a huge probability and possibility that they can use this Mortal Kombat wave, because this is what we know, that's what's going to happen. It's going to be a Mortal Kombat wave to bring us some Double Dragons, some Metal Slug movies, like dive into the old video games that nobody even remembers, or some of those old cartoons like Street Sharks and what's the one with the rats that rode the motorcycles? I can't remember what the name of that was. Biker Mice from Mars. Yep, you're right. When you said biker, Biker Mice. It was a good show though.
Yeah.
Can we get a Thundercats movie? Like, they can use this as a platform to jump off of.
Or reboot of Beetleborgs.
Reboot. Oh, please. That was so much better than Power Rangers. I don't care what anybody says. I loved Beetleborgs. But I think that shows my nerdiness right there. But overall, I think Mortal Kombat can definitely be a great platform for them to jump off of. With the just, again, it's a new temperature. I'm going to say it that way. There is a firm and new temperature, and this new generation can be introduced to those characters that weren't just about the brute force, but there was intellect in a lot of the things that we had when we were kids. And I think it can be, those are the things that can be recycled into today versus the things that were popular and mostly led with just brute sensibilities.
That's fair.
I completely agree with that, because in this sense, when everything's going on, because I think the reason why this movie was made was because of the hype of I haven't played through all of them yet, from Mortal Kombat 9 to 11 to 9 to 11 basically.
Killer
I
Instinct.
just that they need to redo that, definitely. I love that game. Um, they I think they jumped on that hype, and you know what? I feel like, I don't know if you guys seen it yet, but I think Sonic the Hedgehog, when that movie came out, that kind of redefined things for video games movies, because when I
You're
seen that
right.
movie, I'm like, this shit is gonna be dumb. Then when I seen it, I was like, holy, and that was the last movie I seen before the whole pandemic hit in
Uh,
theaters, and I was just like, this movie was really good, and I can't wait for the sequel. And I know that the budget and everything is just gonna be like off the roof to make
amazing.
sure we get to see the success of this video game movie blow up even more. And I think that gave other studios hopes. So they're like, hey, why not? And I think we're gonna
Yeah.
see more of it, like you said, Metal Slugs and shit
Mhm.
like that, just to come out, or a Contra movie.
Oh, can we get a remake of the Mario Brothers movie? But I want it exactly the way
But
it
I want to,
was.
yes, yeah, and that's why I kind of don't. That's why I never really bring up a remake of the Mario Brothers, because it was so bad that it was so good. You can
Amazing.
never be
Yeah,
so bad that you're so good ever again in life. Like, you just have to be good.
absolutely. That
I
was
gotta
the
rewatch it.
the gold
I love
star.
it.
It
That
was
movie
so
was
good.
so good. It was crazy, but it was bad,
Yes.
bad, bad.
Big time.
Excuse me. But no, so I firmly believe that, and I didn't think about that, Dijon. Sonic, I guess, was the springboard then, right? But, and I think if you put those two things together, what you just said about Sonic and what I just said about Mortal Kombat, if they really utilize them, like, I really believe we can live in a world where I'm gonna say it. We can live in a world where our generation is appreciated.
Yeah, because I
Mm.
think this is the next best thing, because the comic book adaptation in the movies, that's just a set in stone thing. That's the norm
Yes.
now. But
Yeah.
video game movies, that's the next best thing that Hollywood
Right.
is gonna milk.
Oh
Hopefully,
yeah.
they milk it in the right way.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, they've been cursed for a long time, but I do believe that we might be entering a new era of video game movies, maybe even a golden era. We'll have to see. But yeah, cool guys. You guys all set? Or I think we can wrap it up here. Are you all good with that?
Good to go.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for listening. We really very much appreciate you. We hope that you enjoyed this spoiler discussion about 2021's Mortal Kombat. We very much did. And we just appreciate you guys so much. Please feel free to leave us comments or give us a thumbs up on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook page. We'd very much appreciate it. Give us a subscription on YouTube if you feel so inclined. It would very much help us out. We're trying to get up to 10 subscribers. We're at 7 right now, so I think we can get there. But yes, thank you so much, you guys. If you want to check out what Keelan does on his podcast, If Numbers Could Talk, that is on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. Please check him out. He has a Facebook page and a YouTube page, If Numbers Could Talk. Make sure that you like and subscribe to his channel as well. I got a podcast called Exofathom on Monday and Friday night at 8 p.m. If you want to check that out, please go ahead and do so. I have a Facebook page and a YouTube page. But if you're a purist and just want to listen to us jabber on about movies, we very much appreciate that as well. Thank you guys so much for taking this trip through the Screen Time Continuum with us. For Screen Time Continuum, I am Nick.
And I am Keelan. And thank you, Dijon.
And I am the mustard.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Dijon. We very much appreciate you as well. That was a great conversation. We can't wait to have more with you.
Good night.
Everybody, good night. Let's do an awkward pause real quick and stare at the camera. And then, ready? 1, 2, 3. Good night.